What's up, everybody? It's your boy C Sam's, and this is That Comic Show. Look, in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's a movie about Superman. And he's not upset, he's not brooding, he's not angry, he's not mad, he's not moping around, he's not killing people. Well, this is That Comic Show, and I'm here to talk to you guys about Superman, the movie that just came out from the DCU, not the DCEU. The DCEU is dead. That's done with. Finito. Over. That's it. So I don't need to hear anything about, oh, Henry Cavill. That's done with. It's dead. I'm so happy. That was a... Anyway, this movie is the brand new movie that's going to kick off this new era of DC. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't truly on board because DC really crapped the bed with the DCEU. Now, this movie is very, very fun. It starts off wait, before I even continue, no spoilers. All right, so this is not going to be a spoilers review. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, so don't worry. From the very beginning of the movie, what you saw in the trailers was only like the first few minutes of the movie. There is so much more content in this movie. I was very, very happy to see that because I'll be honest with you, I was a little nervous. James Gunn is known for Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, Peacemaker. He's known for doing these ensemble movies where you have multiple characters part of a team. It's rare that you see him talk about one particular character. Even Peacemaker, to an extent, has a team around him. With Superman, yes, he is Superman, but he's also amongst this universe of metahumans that are all in this universe and they're all established. I love that. We see a Superman that's already established. We don't need to see him as a kid in Smallville, learning about his powers, figuring out how is he going to be able to go into this big city and fool people. We don't need to worry about that. He's been Superman for 3 years. All right, so all that stuff is done with. That's good. That's exactly what I want. I don't want to see a retelling of the same movie that we've saw over and over and over and over again. We've seen 3 Supermen at least in my lifetime, on the big screen. And he is number 4. I don't need to see his story again. We do see the fact that he is part of a bigger universe. I love the fact that we do have characters that are in this universe that are not established, but yet still we know who the characters are and they have a bit of a backstory. I'm sure we'll learn more of it as the years go on and as the movies go on. But we don't need to know all of that right now. I love that. That's awesome. Lex Luthor. Finally, we have a Lex Luthor that is comic book, cartoonishly evil. That's the type of Lex I want to see. I don't want to see a Lex trying to stuff Jolly Ranchers in people's mouths and talking about, I love it when a plan comes together. What is that? I'm so happy. I'm so happy that's dead and that's done with. Luthor definitely delivered in this movie. He was downright evil. I wanted to see his head kicked off his body. Of course, you have Lois Lane. I think she was the perfect Lois Lane for this movie. We didn't need anything else. We didn't need a Lois Lane that had the kryptonite spear and threw it in the ocean and then jumped into the ocean to retrieve it because they needed it to kill Zadumza. See, I'm getting off on that tangent. I'm so sorry. Let's start over. Yeah, Lois Lane, she's awesome for this role. The different superheroes. Guy Gardner, he's an absolute jerk. I love it. He should be. Mr. Terrific, also kind of snobby. I love it. Hawkgirl, I wasn't too sold on Hawkgirl. So maybe hopefully they do something with her character. I would love to see it grow a little bit more. Crypto is an interesting character. He is a dog. I do not own a dog, but my mother, my brother, they own a dog and they love the dog. And I know dog lovers really understand this portion of the film where you have a dog who's brand new, who's a baby and just wants to play. And, you really don't have a control of that because it's a puppy. Sometimes Crypto worked. Other times Crypto was kind of annoying. But again, it's a puppy. So, dog lovers will love that about the movie. Me personally, I was like, okay, I get it. The dog is unruly. I get it. But I'm like, all right, if you're not doing what John Wick did, when it came to his dog, what are we doing here? Who else do we got? All the other characters, minor characters. We don't even see much from them. Great. This movie stayed on Superman and how does Superman kind of thread the needle of being the strongest hero on the planet who could do anything and doesn't have to listen to any rules. Like, what does the world do about that? There's some pushback though. So even though I like this movie, it's hard for me not to compare it to Man of Steel. Now, Man of Steel came out June 2013. I went to the premiere. And when I saw that movie, I enjoyed it because it felt like what the world will do if there was a real Superman. How the world will feel towards a real Superman. And not to say that this movie didn't accomplish that, but I think Man of Steel kind of nailed that point a little bit better. One thing about Man of Steel that they do talk about is, like, you know, what do we do if Superman says, hey, I'm going to go over here and stop this? And America says, well, we don't want you to go over there and stop this. And Superman says, yeah, that's nice. I'm still going to go over there. It's hard. That's a hard needle to thread. And I love the fact that they actually explored that possibility. That's not something that they really do in this movie. They touched on it a little bit, but I don't think they kind of nailed that point. That's about it. Actually, no, I lied. The fight scenes. The fight scenes were really good. I thought that these fight scenes were really cool, the way that they set them up. One thing I have to give credit to Zack Snyder, and I don't give him credit for anything because he ruined DC for a long time for me. Fight choreography. He knows how to choreograph a fight. Because his fights with Superman and Zod, that was like Dragon Ball Z level good. You know, you don't really get that in this film. And that's fine. That's fine. I feel bad for Metropolis because Metropolis always getting beat up. Like, it doesn't matter what they do. But it truly showed how much Superman is really in tune to everybody because all he wanted to do was save people. And that's what Superman is. Superman is the guy that does not have to question whether or not he has to save somebody. He's going to save them, even if they're the villain. However, one particular goon he did not save. And there's a reason why he didn't save it. And I'm okay with that. This movie was definitely different from what we got before. And I think a lot of kids, a lot of people in this generation, they look to Henry Cavill Superman because it kind of speaks to the temperature of the world. And the world is not a place of brooding, angry. Oh, yes, the world is that. We don't want to be reminded of that. Superman is supposed to be about hope. He's supposed to be about truth, justice, an American way. That is what Superman's supposed to be, and I think this movie exemplifies that. Now, I know there's a lot of hate going on out there in the world that, you know, Superman's an immigrant. That's the story of Superman. Why are you mad? Why is this about a pro-immigration message? Superman is an immigrant. He is an immigrant that came to the planet Earth, landed in Kansas, Smallville, Kansas, and he was raised by two rural mom and dad. Yeah, he came here with no papers. He was an immigrant, an illegal alien, if you want to say that. And he became Superman. That's the story of Superman. Why are you mad? What are you mad about? Hey, this movie was super fun. I had a great time watching it. You know, stick to the end. I mean, if you want to watch the after credits, I'm not going to tell you not to watch it. I mean, it doesn't really establish anything new in the universe, but it will be fun to watch. And this film, it did not do any world building, and sometimes we need that. I think Marvel, as much as I love Marvel, sometimes Marvel gets kind of lost in itself with the world building, that we don't spend time with just the characters. But then again, Marvel has been a continuous story since 2008, so I'm kind of used to the world building with Marvel. When it comes to DC, I'm interested into where we're going to go next. We did not see a certain superhero. I was so happy not to see the certain superhero. I hope I don't see that certain superhero for a few years. I want to establish this universe. I want to establish the rules of this universe first before we have someone who's going to break all those rules. You know, where we're going to go from here, hard to tell. But there's a lot of cool characters that show up. It is a lot of cool concepts that I truly enjoy and I appreciate. The villain was thwarted, and he'll be back again. This was like an episode of the Super Friends, an episode of Justice League, an episode of Superman the Animated Series. That's basically what this movie was. It was an episode. So that means I got to tune in for the next episode. So, James Gunn, you did a great job. wonderful work. Everybody involved with the movie, great job. I enjoyed myself. I gave this movie an 8.5 out of 10. There was a few scenes that I said really didn't work for me. There was one particular scene where he was plummeting back to Earth, and I thought it would have made a bigger impact. I think that kind of bothered me, for him to be that strong and for him to be doing what he was doing, and it was just like, okay. It was like me throwing a rock from a window. Really didn't make an impact. I thought they could have did a little bit more. With Superman, you can kind of OD on his power. You know, he's Superman. He's supposed to be powerful. So either way, I truly enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoy it when you watch it. You know, like I said, this is spoiler free, so I didn't spoil anything. At least I hope not. But yeah, I loved it. It was great. Go out there and see it. Support it. Yeah, we're in a new age of DC, and I am so here for it. And Snyder fans, listen, I like Snyder. Snyder's a great dude when it comes to choreographing fights, but not building no universes. He ain't good at that at all. That's why you don't have a DCU no more. It's dead. Take care, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, this is your boy C. Sams, and this is That Comic Show. Sams out.